Okay, day 66, part 4. Still don't know if Braverman and Neil Brown are in on the deal or not. And what I mean is, do they know that Hillary's contracting with Muslim Brotherhood as a Clinton Foundation, through a Clinton Foundation employee, to get them stingers that could knock down U.S. planes, European planes, and Russian planes, and getting them sarin gas canister howitzers that they can use on populations? So we don't know that. But my point in this fourth video is really talking about this private army of Northern Virginia, is what I call it, where if you take some generals in the Beltway and you take some politicians that are well connected and have a lot of money, and then you add a spy network to where you can get foreign intelligence. Like, for instance, I can look at people's bank accounts, and I can look at their email, and I can look at their transactions, and I can look at their travel movements. I can use this army now to go get bank accounts. I can contract my private army, instead of using the FBI to, break up a gang or break up a prostitution ring, oil trading ring, go topple them, and then get the money, and then go after their hidden assets, instead of prosecuting them like you should as a public servant. So I call that the Army of Northern Virginia, because basically this cadre, and maybe throw in Tampa because of CENTCOM, and NATO because of all the African Command and so forth, for deals that are done over here in North Africa and Middle East. But the Army of Northern Virginia, if you have a well-connected political family and a 30-year friend, he's now the governor of Virginia, and you have, let's say you stole $200 billion from Gaddafi, let's say it's plus or minus, that's enough to launch 1,000 of these types of takeovers. And then McAuliffe is going to give, this is the spy network, he's going to give, McCabe ran the FBI agents that were overseas, the counterterrorism division. So you can gin up a big case for having made a lot of terrorism, which he did, and he got mad at me for 2010. But anyway, you basically have this clutch of people that are trying to, the generals over here, and the spies are over here, and then he gives $675,000 to his wife to try to, for that state Senate campaign. Every time he shuts down a Hillary investigation, he ends up getting promoted. He gets promoted several times along the way here, from counterterrorism all the way now to the number 2 guy at the FBI. And then Secret Service is also in on this. So he's promoted when he hacks the number 2 guy at the FBI to get him out of there. So he goes from number 3 to number 2. And then you use guys like this to do those types of hacks. I don't know if you remember Joe Clancy, but he had 50, as soon as Jason Chaffetz started saying, hey, that bomb at the White House, you should have, kind of probably called it in to the police of Washington. You left the bomb at the front of the White House, you probably should call that into the police, Capitol Police. He instead of saying, gee, that was pretty bad of me, since we were all out at a party getting drunk, we didn't call it in till, way late, and then we let the person go. No, instead of that, they had a 50-person massive attack on his personal records. So if he's willing to attack the person who's in charge of the oversight committee for the FBI and the oversight committee for the Secret Service, there is no way in the world they wouldn't do it on you or me in a heartbeat. And that's a huge power over somebody, because you could something you did wrong 12 years ago or whatever, and that turned out he tried to be a Secret Service agent, he couldn't be, and then they exposed that and leaked that. That's an intimidating power that is being used, and this is a collusion here. This is the Army of Northern Virginia. The Secret Service has this ability way beyond the ability to protect the president. They have this kind of cyber responsibility. It's supposed to be to track cash, because in the past they used to be a anti-counterfeiting group. This group should just protect the president. This should not be involved in attacking the legislative oversight. Okay, if you have this kind of ability, you'll never have oversight of the FBI. Okay, and then you'll be able to quid pro quo your way through the State Department all the way up to number 2, right? So that's exactly what happened. Shut down the investigation a couple times. He walled it off. He walled off the different FBI offices from seeing other evidence, so you can't build a cohesive case. can't see both sides of a transaction, completely walled off Haiti by adding the Miami office, which is kind of the office where he can justify going and getting, world soccer executives or whatever. You get one guy in here to act like, he's part of the deal, and then you can jump all over the world for all kinds of cases. Nothing to do with terrorism, which is the counterterrorism to. Every time he tries to shut down, he gets every quid pro quo. He keeps going up, and I'm not saying this. This is the assistant director of the FBI. Of practices. So the summary or the full file, which Jason Chaffetz has asked for, not giving everyone the 650,000 emails saying you need 5 years, all this obstruction, wanting to get more power. This is the spy side of that network. Now, when you combine all these practices, not filling out an assessment, everything's hidden, you can forge things, people do reprisals internally if people do act honestly. When you add that to this kind of network where you at the State Department, you can keep getting funding and keep every time through these 7 quid pro quos that Comey's had with Clinton, he's been able to build this army. You just keep adding more army, just piling it on. The counterterrorism division, if it was focused on terrorism, and I assume some of the people are, it wouldn't be near the size it is, because it wouldn't have to manufacture cases like they did here in Portland with the 17-year-old Muslim kid. So anyway, that was the one I got hurt on. But anyway, so this is building an army by this kind of tight triangle between State Department and the executive branch and the FBI. It's creating this. We'll look the other way as long as you make us more powerful. And this is the Army of Northern Virginia. Why do I say that? Well, here's the general living in Virginia. Ran for state senator in Virginia and from McAuliffe, from the state of Virginia political party. And, his wife was a general too, and he got into trouble for moving arms back into the U.S. from the Middle East. So it's one of those things that just if you let it go, it just doesn't get any better. And you got people dying, and the murders, and it's one of those situations where you don't want a private army out there doing these things because it creates a lot of liabilities for the United States. And none of this has been unhooked. In the case of Libya, you had this Delta Force, you had General Grange, hiring a bunch of contractors, ex-Delta Force guys. I think it was the Fort Benning guys, the 101st guys. And they've got these laser sights, and they've got these night visions, so I can paint targets for the jets, and I can paint targets for the cruise missiles on the ships, and hit all these targets. For my whatever gang I choose, okay? So again, a private army, what's going to stop the next topple? And as predicted, if you don't stop it here, then it goes to the next level. We're going to go to sarin gas. Tanks that they sell, and these little mini planes that General Grange likes and David Petraeus likes. Now I can start doing what I call fire team, kind of like Rolling Thunder with gas. I can start shooting gas in front of ISIS and then letting them go in, shoot the nearly dead people, and then collecting weapons. So ISIS is really nothing more than a weapons collector at some point. All along the way, I won't show that here, but if you have this incentive where people can cash in on oil design and oil construction of the hotels, you have the franchise for the phone with the micro lending and all that with the child trafficking. It just creates the motive for them to keep this Army of Northern Virginia on the roll, and keep taking over countries. Remember, I've got a spy network, so I know where everybody's keeping their money. I know what's happening with email. I can target anybody around the world with the counterterrorism division of the FBI, and then I can commission, as long as I have an incentive here, somebody to bankroll it, I can commission a private army to go get it. And my point being with the Middle East project is that there are plans. Petraeus has plans way more than 8 binders that he gave to Paula Broadwell. He's got 50 binders of everything all over the world. And it's not going to stop these guys. The reason why all these guys went into the same company, Beacon, after they left the State Department, Shapiro and Reines and Bash and Morrell, is they're going to keep doing this. They're going to keep doing this. As long as you have, the intelligence, in the spy network, which is this, along with McCabe, and you have the guns and the general, and you have the money with the Clintons, you're going to keep seeing this. There's nothing to stop Hillary from continuing to do Libya, Syria, on and on, as many as she wants. So that's it for today.